This video is going to show you how to find the constant of proportionality in a graph. So the constant of proportionality on a graph is shown when the x value is 1. Because remember, the constant or the unit rate is whatever the dependent variable is every single time. So when I look at this graph, I am looking at bicycle rentals. So x is the number of rentals, and y is the commission, or how much somebody gets. So how much money you get is dependent on the number of rentals. So when I look at this graph, again, I want the constant of proportionality, which means the x value is 1. But I look and I don't see 1 on the x-axis. 1 would be right about here. When I look at the graph, I cannot tell how much money they get for one rental. So in order to find the constant, I have to find a clear point on the graph and divide. And we're going to divide y over x. That will give me my constant. So when I look at the graph, I see a clear point is right here. I can tell exactly that for 5 rentals, the commission would be $20. So now that I have my clear point, I'm going to write it as y over x, and I'm going to divide. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So my constant is $4 for every 1 rental. So that means this little point right here on the graph would be 1. This constant means every single rental is $4. It's a constant rate. So find a clear point on the graph and divide y over x to get the constant. Now let's take a look at a problem where you might have to go beyond just calculating the constant of proportionality. Carlos drove 65 miles to a friend's house in another town. The graph shows the relationship between the distance he drove and the amount of time it took to drive that distance. What is Carlos's rate of speed? So rate of speed just means how fast he's going. So I'm looking for the distance, or the miles per hour. This is also y over x, because the number of miles he travels depends on how long he's been driving for. So I want to know his rate of speed. So I'm going to find a clear point. When I look at a clear point, I see this one right here. So I see for 1 hour, he drives 30 miles. I chose that point because I saw it was clear, and both the x and the y are whole numbers, which makes it easier. So y over x, 30 over 1, here I see that my time, my x is already 1, so this is my constant. Every 30 miles, it takes 1 hour. This is his constant rate of speed. So I can check this by, if I go to 2 hours and I go up, it should be 60, and it is. Now let's look at the second question. It says, what is the ordered pair that represents the distance traveled in 1 hour? So we already found that constant. We know that in 1 hour, he drives 30 miles. But now I need to represent this dot, this point right here, is an ordered pair. So remember, an ordered pair is always written as x, comma, y. So now we need to take the constant and write it in this way. So my x value is 1, and my y value was 30. So an ordered pair is basically backwards, or the opposite way you would write the constant of proportionality. All ordered pairs on a graph are written as x, comma, y. So when we're writing the unit rate means x is always 1. So the unit rate ordered pair will always have a 1 in the x value. Now go ahead and see if you can find the constant of proportionality in the first graph. Pick a clear point and divide. All right, so I see 2 clear points in this graph. The first one I see is right here. So I see that the distance, the number of feet, 3 feet in every half a minute. I also see a clear point right here. I see 6 feet in every 1 minute. So knowing that the constant of proportionality means that x is 1, I'm going to go ahead and write y over x, and I'm going to use the 6 feet for every 1 minute. So the constant of proportionality is 6 feet, because that's how much he travels in 1 minute. Go ahead now and find the constant in the second graph. So this one was a little trickier. So I'm looking for how many inches of flood water occurs in a certain amount of days. So a clear point I see is right here. I can tell that exactly at this point, 4 inches of water accumulates in 3 days. So I'm going to write that as y over x. Again, to find my constant, I always divide y over x. So I'm going to do 4 divided by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time. And I can either get 1 1/3 feet for every single day, or you can write it as 1.33 repeating every single minute. And I can double check. If I look at 1 day, that's my constant, my unit rate. For every 1 day, the point ends up right here. If I go over, I see that this line looks about 1 1/3 or 1.33. So I know that this answer is correct. All right, so now we're going to take it beyond just finding the constant. Take a minute and write the ordered pair for the first graph that represents the unit rate, that represents the cost for 1 ticket. Okay, so when I see this first graph, I'm going to find a clear point. The first clear point I see is right here. It tells me that $21 is the cost for 1 ticket. Right there, that's the unit rate. That's the constant, because my x value is 1. So I could write it as y over x, and I get $21 for 1 ticket. There's my constant, there's my unit rate. I just need to write it as an ordered pair. Remember, ordered pair, your x comes first, so it's going to be y, comma, 21. Go ahead now and determine the second ordered pair for the second graph. All right, so when I look at the 1 pound of grape, I see that it's not a clear point. I cannot tell exactly how much it costs. So the clear point that I see, the first one I see is way up here. So for $7, I get 5 pounds of grapes. I want the ordered pair for the unit rate, this point right here. So I'm going to find that constant by doing y, 7, over x, 5, and dividing. 5 goes into 7 one time. Subtract, I get 2. I need to add a decimal and a 0. 5 goes into 20 4 times. So the constant of proportionality, or the unit rate, is $1.40 for every 1 pound of grapes. So now, to write that as an ordered pair, I'm going to take my x, comma, y. So my ordered pair is 1, comma, 1.4.